No one becomes rich by accident, and no one stays poor by chance. There is a set of behaviors that wealthy people practice every single day, and they rarely show up in 30-second motivational videos. Elon Musk's journey from childhood to the present day reveals 7 of those behaviors, documented in his official biography, interviews, and public records, not based on speculation. There are 7 points. The 7th ties all the others together. Leave a like if you recognize yourself in any of them. Wealthy people weren't born knowing everything, they became obsessed with teaching themselves. While other kids played after school, Elon Musk spent more than 10 hours a day reading. By the age of 9, he had already read the entire Encyclopedia Britannica. Not because school required it, but because he chose to. In an interview with Rolling Stone, he summed up that period of his life with a real quote. He said he was, quite literally, raised by books. People often treat this as a funny piece of trivia, look what a nerd he was, when in reality, it was the foundation of everything that came afterward. Before founding any company, before having any capital, there was someone who had developed the habit of seeking knowledge independently, obsessively, long before he actually needed it. Now compare that to what most people do after leaving school. They stop learning on their own. They study only the minimum required for work and treat reading as a waste of time, or as a luxury for people who have extra time. The information that separates those who build wealth from those who stay where they are isn't secret. It's in books, available to anyone. The difference is who chooses to look for it. That habit of self-directed learning is the foundation that supports the second behavior, because knowledge without the courage to act on it never changes anyone's life. They tolerate a level of risk that most people call crazy. In the official biography written by Walter Isaacson, who closely followed Musk for 2 years, there's a precise description of his attitude toward risk, an exceptionally high tolerance, with the ability to evaluate risk with complete clarity while embracing it with full commitment. Notice the important detail, it wasn't a lack of calculation. It was calculation followed by action, even when the outcome was uncertain. At different points in his career, he invested nearly all of his personal fortune into projects that most experts believed were doomed to fail. Most people treat risk as something to avoid at all costs, and that very fear is what keeps their financial situation exactly where it is. Without taking any calculated risks, financial outcomes tend to remain the same, stable, but with no meaningful growth. That doesn't mean recklessly betting everything you have. It means understanding the difference between calculated risk, based on real information, and blind gambling. And that distinction only exists for people who have already developed the first habit, seeking knowledge before taking action. But calculating risk requires a specific way of thinking, one that most people were never taught to use. They see knowledge as a network, not as isolated subjects. In an interview about how he learns completely new fields, Musk described his own method with a real quote: "It's important to view knowledge as a sort of semantic tree. First understand the fundamental principles, the trunk, before diving into the details and the branches." That explains how one person was able to develop genuine expertise in digital payments, automotive engineering, aerospace, and artificial intelligence, fields that most people see as completely unrelated. To him, they all share the same underlying principles of physics, logic, and problem solving. Most people learn in fragments. They memorize isolated pieces of information without connecting them to anything else, and they forget them soon after using them. Without understanding the why behind a financial concept, for example, it never becomes a practical decision. It remains nothing more than a disconnected fact. Applied to money, this means understanding why compound interest works, not just knowing that it exists. It means understanding why an asset appreciates in value, not simply buying it because people say it's good. Those who connect the underlying principles make better decisions, faster, especially in unfamiliar situations. This kind of deep learning requires time and effort, and that's exactly where the behavior most people don't want to admit is also part of the equation begins to appear. They don't hide the hard work, they hide the reason behind it. It is well documented that Musk went through periods of extreme work schedules, including his own accounts of working 80 to 120-hour weeks during critical phases of Tesla's production, even sleeping inside the factory to solve manufacturing problems in real time. This side of the story rarely appears in videos selling the fantasy of effortless financial freedom. They show the results, the billions, the rockets, the cars, but completely ignore the period when the amount of work far outweighed any visible reward. The difference isn't that wealthy people work harder than everyone else. Many people work exhausting hours and still have nothing left at the end of the month. The real difference is the purpose behind the effort, working to build an asset that continues generating value long after the work is done, versus trading hours for money without ever accumulating anything beyond that month's paycheck. Ignoring that period of intense effort makes success look almost magical, when in reality it is the result of concentrated sacrifice over a specific period of time, not forever, but long enough to build a solid foundation. And the reason they're willing to make that sacrifice has less to do with money than most people imagine. They don't chase money directly, they chase problems worth solving. In a real public statement, Musk criticized the fact that so many smart people go into finance and law, fields that, in his view, often move existing money around rather than creating new value through products, technology, or genuine solutions to real problems. That directly contradicts what most people are taught about money: go where the highest salary is. His career demonstrates the opposite: electric vehicles, reusable rockets, transportation tunnels, industries considered risky, incredibly difficult, and offering no guarantee of quick financial returns. In these cases, money came as the result of solving large, meaningful problems, not as the primary goal from the beginning. People who chase money directly usually choose the path of least effort and least risk. Those who chase meaningful problems, ironically, often end up achieving greater financial success in the long run. This reversal of priorities, putting the problem before the money, is uncomfortable for most people to accept because it requires patience while financial rewards take time to appear. And that patience is only sustainable when you truly understand the scarcest resource of all, and it isn't money. To them, time is worth more than money, and that changes every decision. All the behaviors we've covered so far, learning quickly, taking calculated risks, connecting knowledge, working with intense focus, and chasing problems instead of paychecks, share one underlying principle: compressing time. Money can be earned back, rebuilt, and multiplied. Time cannot. That's why wealthy people make decisions that seem like they're wasting money to outsiders, when they're actually buying time, paying for a course that speeds up learning instead of struggling alone for years, hiring someone who can solve a problem quickly instead of spending months learning a skill outside their area of expertise, or outsourcing repetitive tasks so they can focus on decisions with the greatest impact. Most people make the opposite calculation. They trade time for money in almost every situation because money feels scarcer in the present. But every hour spent on low-value work is an hour that never comes back, and an hour that could have been invested in building something that generates returns later. Understanding this trade-off completely changes a person's daily priorities, regardless of how much money they earn today. And there is one specific habit, simple, yet incredibly powerful, that supports this entire way of thinking, and it's available to anyone right now, without requiring any starting capital. The simplest habit of all is also the most ignored. Let's go back to the beginning. It all started with a child reading for 10 hours a day, decades before any financial success appeared. This isn't just an isolated detail from Musk's story. It's a documented pattern found among nearly every billionaire who built something of real value rather than simply inheriting wealth. Consistent reading, focused on the right subjects, is the simplest and most accessible common denominator behind every behavior we've discussed. It doesn't require money. It doesn't require connections. It doesn't require luck. It only requires making the daily decision to spend your available time learning instead of doing something else. Precisely because it's so simple, most people ignore it. It seems too ordinary to be the real secret, but the right information, absorbed consistently over many years, is what made every one of the previous behaviors possible. Learning on your own, taking calculated risks, connecting knowledge, working with purpose, chasing problems instead of paychecks, and valuing time. None of these habits appear out of nowhere. They all begin in the same place, acquiring the right information before most people even decide to look for it. Leave a like, subscribe so you don't miss the next video, and share this with someone who's tired of staying stuck in the same place. See you in the next one.